Good evening. Good evening, gamers. Hmm. Hold on, let me turn the music a little bit down. Okay, so last week we went over why mechanical remembering keyboards, the three basic type of switches, which is clicky, linear, and tactile. Um, what else is there? Form factors, which is the size of your keyboard, which is full size, TKO, 60% and low, are more the common ones, and keycap profiles. So this week we're going to be going over manufacturers, which is place you can buy custom keyboard parts. Um, so the most common places to buy keyboard parts are Novel Keys, KBD Fans, Drop, which was Smash Drop previously, COPC, and Keyboard Treehouse. Keyboard Treehouse is Keyboard Treehouse and Drop are a little bit more on the like not well I guess mm, KBD Fans is like your go-to. It's like your entry level area. Everything's relatively cheap. And it just has a variety of things. Novel Keys is primarily switches. Uh, but they're progressively going to desk mats. Uh, pre-built key or custom keyboards that you can accessorize, which is the NK65. And key, well, I guess keycaps, right? Drop is mainly just like a bunch of compute, like a desktop based thing, which is audiophile stuff in case you like really like audio. Keyboards, keycaps, and just like a bunch like novel or artisan keyboards or keycaps. So they're relatively on the more expensive side. Zeal is primarily key switches and uh, key films or key switch films. Um, and then what else is there? Keyboard Treehouse, more of a novelty area, but yeah. If you're just looking to like look at keyboard parts, I would recommend KBD Fans personally. Um, there's also more expensive areas which are like Key Cult, but these are like the more like most accessible keyboard areas are out there. What else is there? Um, what else? What else is there? I believe. Hey, Romer, how are you doing today? Um, yeah. So KBD Fans is relatively inexpensive. It's like your Walmart of. I don't want to say Walmart, but it's like your like general grocery store of like custom keyboard parts. While Novel Keys, Drop, Zeal, and Keyboard Treehouse are more of like your specialty areas. Here are the links to them. Uh, what else is there? That should be the most manufacturer or like the most like accessible manufacturers. Obviously, there's places like Keycult. Yeah. I do this every Sunday, so and you can ask questions of like, oh, like is this keyboard good or like everything like that. It's mainly just a thing of just like I'm into keyboards, so why not share? If that makes sense. Um, yeah, that should be all for manufacturers. If I'm missing any, then I should be okay. So last week we talked about key switches or types of them. There's a two different housings. Cherry MX. Cherry switches aren't. If they're your first keyboard, like mechanical keyboard, they're not bad. But there's a lot better options out there. There's a lot better options out there for custom keyboard or switches. I prefer Kale switches personally in terms of just your typical click jacket, tactile, and linear. So like red, blue, and browns. But that's what I prefer. If you like cherry switches, no harm, no foul. Plan on getting a TKL keyboard by Asus. Um, if you don't mind me recommending a TKL, yeah. Um, so I don't know how you feel about actually building a keyboard, but I recommend it's for gaming and editing. Okay. Yeah, so basically you would buy like this keyboard part and then you'll buy the switches individually and then you just put the switches in the keyboard, but you also need to buy keycaps. It's a little bit more pricey depending on what you buy, but it's has a longer lifespan, and if something breaks, you can fix it on your own. You don't want to go through the hassle? Okay. Um, let's see. Does Drop have any pre-built? I believe. Um, so the Drop control keyboard is a 10 keyless high profile keyboard for 250 USD, and it also lets you choose what kind of switch you have. I put in a link. Drop is a manufacturer. They also make audiophile stuff. Yeah. So the Drop Control High Profile is a really good entry keyboard for customs if you are interested. It's also really good as something you could just buy. If it has RGB, if you're into that, it also has like where you can choose. Yes, it's also on the relatively expensive side. Also, depending on what you choose, it can vary the price. I believe the MX Blues and the MX Browns RGB are $25 more expensive than the Kaihua Speed Silver, Box White, Halo True, and Halo Clear. If you want feedback of when you type on a yeah. Oh, if you want a Korean manufacturer, yeah. So you can go here. This is a keyboard, or this is a Korea-based keyboard manufacturer called Monster Gears. They mainly make just like housing. But if you do want to look, it's there. You can buy fully built keyboards. You can buy the wired hot swappable TKL keyboard for about 90 USD. And you can choose what switches you want in it. You're not that into keyboards? Understandable. I mean, this is just my recommendations. You don't have to take them. It's just what I would recommend as a someone who's into keyboards and wants to just like, I don't necessarily just like inform people, right? You don't you can just come in here, be like, oh, that guy's streaming this, collect your watch streak channel points or whatever, and then just leave. But if you do want like a, I guess, higher end quality keyboard, I would recommend the Ninja 87 BT. So the clicky switches, I would recommend, if you don't want that, I would recommend Gatoron Yellow. They're very smooth and very quiet in comparison to other stock linear switches. Yeah. So you would want to go with a lighter linear switch, maybe about 45 grams, which is Cherry MX Reds, Silent Reds, GAT Reds, GAT Yellows, and a few others that I can just list on for like 20 minutes. But yeah, it's not that bad. So GAT is a shorter version of the name Gatoron, which is a key switch manufacturer, which was a quote-unquote Chinese clone knockoff of Cherry, but in recent years they have been more higher quality and been more accepted into the custom keyboard community over Cherry. It's just a better Cherry MX Red in my opinion. But you would also need to look for a keyboard with Gatorons over Cherry, because Cherry has a very strong grip hold on the pre-built keyboard market over customs. I've used both Cherry and Gatoron for like 5+ years. I prefer Gatoron 10 times out of 10. Even just not as a custom keyboard enthusiast, Gatoron's a lot higher quality than Cherry. But that's just me. If you don't like it, you know. But yeah. Going for full Asus look? Okay. Good luck with that. I don't believe I used the Asus keyboard. I could be wrong. But I don't typically use keyboards bigger than 75%, which is just a 10 which is pretty big for me. What else is there? So moving on, we could go to types of key switch housing. So there's a typical Cherry housing and a different one called a Kaihua or a KO housing. So this is how you spell KO. Cherry is obviously like your typical like Cherry MX Red, blue, yellow, and is what most keyboard or most custom keyboard switches adopt, which is a Cherry housing. But Novelty primarily uses Kaihua or KO because they are the main manufacturer of KO housing. This is what a Cherry housing looks like. As you can see, there is two like fangs on the side. It's like broken up into two sections. Well, a KO housing is one flat side. So if you can see the difference, one has like a big long side, while the other one has two prongs. If it makes it more easier to visualize, this is a key switch opener. The part on the top left is a Gatoron opening or a KO opening side, and the part on the right is a Cherry opening side. They don't really matter which housing they use. It's just if you are going to customize a key switch with like lubing or adding something else to it or like changing the spring, please keep this in mind in what you purchase. There's also the specialty switches, which is so KO switches the clicky ones have a click bar, which is a different from a click jacket, which we can talk about at a different time or at a future lesson. Um, but what they have is, just the quote unquote specialty switches. Sigil switches are something completely different, and Frankenstein switches is where you mix and match components of different switches to make, well, a quote unquote Frankenstein, which is, the like the typical, like, oh, mix and match a bunch of like components. Um, One of the most popular Frankenstein switches on the market right now are the Holy Pandas, which, I don't want to just go in too much detail right now, but they are a tactile switch, which is a Frankenstein switch that's become mainstream and is a manufactured by Drop currently and glorious. And if you aren't knowledgeable, your longer keys, such as your spacebar, your entry key, just about 2 units long or longer. So like keys that when you just long keys, right? They have stabilizer sounds to make sure that this key stays centered. Those are called stabilizers. So stabilizers can be broken down in 3 parts. The wire, which is the metal part where they connect together, the housing, and the actual stem. So it's kind of like an actual key switch, but just built different. So you can see it broken down here on the left. The housing is what the stem goes into, and the stem goes into the housing, clearly, obviously, and then the wire goes into it, and then it locks in, and this helps your key, your longer keys, such as your enter and your spacebar, raise up after they're pressed down. The common modification to these is putting lube inside of them to make them smoother and not as loud, and clipping off the little fangs to prevent damaging your PCB. The fangs really don't matter because you can put a band-aid underneath what they constantly hit, and most stabilizer manufacturers nowadays are removing the fangs by themselves, so you don't have to do that modification yourself. I do recommend lubing the wire and the housing personally, just because a quieter keyboard is a better keyboard, at least in my opinion. And by quieter, I don't mean, oh, just like you can't hear it. I mean quiet as in it's making less obnoxious noise than it needs to be. Most stabilizers and pre-built keyboards are, hate to say it, but they're really bad. They're rattly and they just don't take well, or they're just not good. There's a few simple solutions to this. You can spray lube, which is just getting a aerosol can of lubricant, and you could just spray inside of it. You can also do this to your switches. I recommend doing it with your keyboard unplugged and in the off position if it does have a Bluetooth option. Just in case to prevent any short circuiting or anything like that. But stabilizers are pretty straightforward. In the future, I do plan on doing like a how to lube a stabilizer, or just how to modify stabilizer, how to open up X switches, which is something informational content is what I like to provide in terms of keyboards. I would also be going over this nearly every time. If I do, if and when I get custom keyboard missions, I will 100% build them on stream. Every keyboard will be built on stream, unless the buyer states otherwise. Like, oh, it's a surprise for a friend, so I don't want them to see. Like, that's different, right? But that's something completely off topic. But I would just like to state that stabilizers are one of the most important parts of your keyboard, and please don't neglect them if you are building a custom one. It doesn't matter how bad your switches sound, as long as your keyboard sounds good or feels good as well, because a feel of a stabilizer can also change drastically on how well the stabilizer is. I prefer Gatorons and Durox stabilizers personally. Genuine cherry stabilizers are probably one of the most common. Um, but my two personal favorite are Durox stabilizers and Gatoron stabilizers. Um, what else is there? I believe that's it for stabilizers without like visual demonstrations of lubing or where to lube and how to lube. Um, I would also like to preface that stabilizers also take two different kinds of lube, which is usually dielectric grease and actual key switch lube, which is either Krytox or just a lube of your choice. Which dielectric grease usually goes on the wire, while like Krytox or whatever switch you're using goes into the housing. So usually the lube you use and on your key switch usually is the same one as your stabilizer. So that is a thing. On to the next topic, which is O-rings. I believe Mega Man asked what's like O-rings for. I don't know if he's here, but if you are here, this is just for you. O-rings, they mainly choose a function or have three different functions, right? They shorten the overall travel to activate the switch. They can also soften / harden the bottom out depending on the O-ring. There's really soft O-rings that are really squishy, and hard O-rings that are obviously hard. And they make the bottoming out sooner. So I don't like O-rings personally because they change the way the key switch feels and sounds too drastically for me. A lot of people don't like O-rings, at least in the custom keyboard community. But if you want to genuinely like a cheap and alternative way to quiet your keyboard without spray lubing, or just getting a desk mat, because desk mats can make your keyboard quieter without actually having to change your keyboard. But that is an option if you just do want to quiet your keyboard or just change the way it feels. Here are some examples of O-rings. They go on the switch itself, or the keycap itself, where it's like, oh, you just put them on and then you put them on your switch and then you bottom them out to make sure they're in the right place. It's pretty time consuming because you would have to take off the switch, put the O-ring on, and then put it back on. If you're into that or just want to kill time, you can do it, but I personally do not recommend doing it, because for most pre-built keyboards such as Razer, Corsair, Steel Series, I'm gonna bunch Asus into here, or just the bigger manufacturers, not the custom ones that make pre-built keyboards for quote unquote gamers. A lot of them sound really bad because of the case itself, not the switch. Which is the switch is hollow, or like the case is hollow and plastic, which allows sound to bounce around and echo a lot, which gives you the quote unquote classic gamer sound where it's literally just blowing out your eardrums over Discord when your friend's typing at Mach 10 and in a League of Legends lobby he's died in Bronze 2 again. But there's a lot of alternative mods you can do. If you just get a desk mat, it can make your keyboard significantly quieter. But yeah, I believe that is it for this week. I do not have a plan for next week's topic. I apologize for the shorter stream, but these aren't meant to be more than like 2 hours at most, and at least like 30, this is supposed to be like 30 minutes to 2 hours, which is like closer to a college seminar from what I've heard. I'll be highlighting the VOD so it doesn't expire. but I will also be announcing on Twitter either Monday or Tuesday what the next week's topics are going to be. I'll also be reminding what the topics are an hour before the stream happens. And as we did with this week, we will be reviewing the topics of last week. Again. I believe that's it. But this is a lot shorter topic, or a lot shorter stream this week, because no one really asked questions, which is I don't mind, right? Because if you're lurking or just don't have questions, go ahead, right? And this is something I'm more familiar with and something more comfortable talking with, because I used to have to talk about this stuff with customers at the time. If you guys, I would also like to, do my shameless social plugging, which we have a Twitter, we have a Discord, and I also take commissions. If you just want a modification of a keyboard you already own, you can also DM me on that. What else is there? Like if you just want to me to replace switches for your keyboard, if you have a custom already, I'll do that for $10. But I will not do any work. By work, I mean opening a case of a pre-built keyboard and do soldering or desoldering for a pre-built keyboard. Customs are fine, but pre-built keyboards I refuse to do, mainly because it voids your warranty, and it's just mainly a pain for me, and I could damage a lot of parts, and I do not want to be held responsible for that or accountable at all. But thank you to all the lurkers if you are. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. What else is there? I will be posting my schedule later today on Twitter and on Discord. But I believe that's it. I would like to inform you tomorrow. Madrosity. I don't know if you guys got a gifted sub earlier, but Madrosity is going to be gifting 2 tier 3 subs. Thank you for the Hydra redeeming me. Also, welcome it. We're about to end. But if you do want a chance to earn a tier 3 sub, which I changed my smug emote and my head pat emote to tier 2 and tier 3, I will be streaming tomorrow. But so if you do want a tier 3 sub, you can just camp. I don't blame you if you just want to, if you get the tier 3 and then just leave, because I would do that personally, but that's just, a me thing. What else is there? I believe that's it. Yeah, I think that's it now. Fuck it, let's raid Barry. Here are the raid messages if you are a sub, and here's the raid if you are a non-sub. Barry is funny ladybug lady. She's playing Hades right now, which is pretty cool. Ladybug _ Barry. But yeah, see you guys tomorrow with honestly, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I think that's it. Yeah, see you guys tomorrow. Anyways, I might be on No Name Paladin stream, just shit posting. So, wow, I'm not gonna sleep, Mimi. It's only 5:30, but yeah, I believe that's it. Again, thank you, lurkers or whatever. If you're a VOD viewer or I guess highlight viewer, Cryo, don't feel bad. I will be keeping the VOD up with a highlight. So if you just do want to overall like lesson, you could just skip through that. Um, yeah, but thanks for stopping by, Cryo. I believe, yeah. So I'll figure out what to stream this week. Obviously, Sunday's gonna be the same time, different topic. Um, but I think that's it. I think that's it. All right, raids, go. Bye bye.